All right, right on. Thanks a lot, guys. So I really appreciate the opportunity to present this morning. And so, yeah, I think it's maybe my second, maybe third time, I'm not sure, but always a privilege to present to the Trade Thirsty audience. I know you guys are all savvy traders, and so I've got my ducks in a row this morning, and hopefully we'll have some fun. I'll dish out some pretty cool tips and tricks to you guys that you guys can take and use to make some money in the markets starting Monday morning. All right, so. The title of my presentation, of course, is about quick flipping stocks for extra money each and every week, regardless of market direction. And so, but there's kind of a story that I want to attach to this strategy. So, I could sit here and tell you, this is my strategy: buy, sell, for profit, and just kind of talk like a robot. And, that's not really my style. I think that's kind of boring. So I like to kind of liven things up a little bit and tell a story that kind of the story behind the story, right, is what makes things interesting. So what I want to talk to you about is how I use this new strategy to help pay for a very, very expensive ordeal in my own personal life. All right, so first thing we got to do is just go to the disclaimer. I know Trade Thirsty has like probably a bajillion of these already, but I just want to show this real quick, right? Just a little CYA there, right? So let's talk about this move that I had. So we moved from South Carolina, sunny South Carolina, back to where I'm from originally, which is Ohio. So we moved up here to the Cleveland, Ohio area. And, I don't know if you guys, how many of you have moved recently, but especially if you've hired movers, oh my gosh, man, it's so expensive, right? Mucho expensioso. I had an adventurous move from South Carolina to Ohio. Thank goodness I have boys that are kind of coming of age and, could help me. And I had friends help me too, load a U-Haul, but it was still pretty expensive. I think the tally, even just driving a U-Haul myself and one of my vehicles behind it, and my wife driving the other one, still came up to about eight grand. I mean, that's a fair amount of cash, right? So here's a picture of my sons and I and a friend in the process of loading up a U-Haul. That's the U-Haul there as it's starting to be loaded on the left side, and on the right side as it's almost finished being loaded. Oh my gosh, it was so hot that day, by the way, in late May in South Carolina. So that was really draining. This is us on the way up on the interstate, filling up the gas tank on the U-Haul. That was an adventure in and of itself. I was driving around all these truckers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I'm going to drive the wrong way in one of these, areas where the truckers park their trucks, and they're going to be laying on their horn at me. It was crazy. But anyways, I kept looking at my car behind me on the trailer as we're driving down the interstate, like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to fall off into the interstate, and I'm going to cause a 50-car crash. So it was kind of crazy. But this is we stopped in Kentucky overnight to get some sleep before we finish up the last leg of the drive. So yeah, pretty crazy. And then this is us after we unpacked the U-Haul. Up here in Cleveland, it was 20 degrees cooler, so it was a lot easier to unpack it. So as a heads up, of course, there is an offer at the end of this webinar that will be helpful to you if you were to take advantage of it. But if not, that's fine too. But I do want to give you a heads up about that. So let's talk about markets now that you know about my little ordeal that I had, and I'm gonna bring it to a conclusion and show you how I ended up paying for that move. So every single day, there's thousands of stocks that trade within a defined range of 1% to 10%, from big names like Apple to small caps like this little oil stock that I like to trade. Its ticker is symbol IO. I just love that little stock for some reason. But anyways, so if you're prepared as a trader with a plan, is there a reason why we couldn't flip stocks that are trading in these ranges, right? So we're still in a bull market. I know yesterday we had a little crash, but we're still in a bull market, right? We're nowhere near a bear market. And so our bias is still long. Now I'll talk about how that we can switch gears quickly if need be. Within the context of these defined ranges though, why can't we flip something like Apple that trades, say, from 190 to 200, or even in the course of a day or two, where it maybe trades from 200 to 202. Why I started to think, like, why am I looking at these ranges and just thinking, oh well, that's not big enough of a range for me to trade. Oh, I can't make that much money because it's not that big of a percentage moves. And I started to think and ask myself, is that really the case? And really, when you consider, it's not really true, right, guys? So if you can find a range and trade that range, you can make money with it. Now, sometimes you might need to use a little bit more size if you're trading something like Apple. But if you look at a little cheap stock like IO that's trading around $8, $9 a share, you can make pretty good money on a day or two's worth of fluctuations if you can manage that correctly. So what's happening now? I know we had that pullback yesterday, but a lot of stocks are getting stretched on the daily chart. You look at stocks like Apple is a great example. Near that all-time high still. So is it really time? I'm going to get political here for a second, if you'll excuse me, but it's the real world, right? So many stocks are stretched on a daily chart. Is it really time to establish a new buy and hold position on Apple? Now, if you're, for a little more clarity, go, in a new tab, maybe pull up a chart of Apple and say, probably not, right? You're not looking to buy a new position to hold for a year or two in Apple right now. It's just, from my perspective, the reason I would do that is because of the election next year, right? I mean, I hope Trump wins personally. I'll just tell you flat out. But, what if he doesn't? What if a socialist wins? How is the stock market going to do? Are you going to hold through that? So I just want to be, real with you guys and let you know the thoughts that go through my head. So do I want to look at stocks as something to buy and hold, or do I want to look at them as something that I want to flip, right? So obviously the answer is to flip them. Here's a recent chart of Amazon. It's off the highs, but it's still pretty near that 2000 level. Here's a fairly recent chart of Apple too. That 200, 220 level, just really, really stretched. So here's my thesis. I'm gonna try to roll through things as quick as we can, so at the end we have time to kind of hang out and chat about this stuff. So my thesis for quick flipping is not some kind of patented formula or something like that, guys. It's really pretty simple. So right now we're still in a bull market, so I'm long biased. That doesn't mean I don't make short trades. I'll tell you about a short trade that I'm in right now, actually, if you stay to the end. All right, so we're in a bull market, so we're long biased. We're in stocks that are favored by analysts. Okay, so that's the kind of mother's milk of the trades that I'm taking. Somewhat predictable chart patterns. I use a lot. I do look at the daily, but I use the hourly chart a lot. Just for some reason, it seems to work for me. And we're going to observe and trade around things like earnings run-ups, things like that. Just exited a couple trades in the last week or two that worked out well, even in spite of the volatility, because I was trading it as an earnings run-up trade. We scale in positions and then exit when they're overbought or when I'm happy with the amount of profit that I have on the table. So for me, that's what I do. I scale in. So like if I want to buy 300 shares of a stock, I'll buy a 100 or maybe 150 and then buy the other 150 later, and then I'll sell them all at once. I don't know. Just for me, mentally, that works. I know some people scale out just the same way they scale in. Matt doesn't do that. All right, so whatever. It works for me. And then you just rinse and repeat. So again, we're embracing the power of analyst actions. Excuse me. So the analyst actions are very, very important. I know there's been a lot of books written and a lot of light that's been made of analyst actions that end up being disastrous. Things like Enron come to mind, and what was the other telecom company that went bankrupt, MCI or something like that. But sometimes analysts they screw up, right? There's no question. But for the most part, they know what they're doing. I mean, that's their work, right? They study these companies. They're not always very timely with their buy and sells, right? Sometimes they'll put a sell recommendation on a stock after it tanks 50%, and that's not very helpful, is it? But the point that I'm making is that these analyst actions really do kind of light a fire under stocks one way or the other, and so they're worth looking at from a trader standpoint, trading standpoint, as a trader, as a swing trader, sometimes even for day trades. So why should this strategy get you excited? Why should this strategy get you excited? Now, I trade a lot of penny stocks. So looking at this coming from the standpoint of a penny stock trader, I look at this and say, this is new to me because from the standpoint of I'm so used to looking for 50%, 70, 100%, 2, 3, even trying to get a 5-bagger sometimes, these huge wins. And now all of a sudden I'm realizing, you know what? All of my trading doesn't need to encompass, looking for the big winner, right? That was it's like set me free. Seriously. Looking at stocks from a standpoint of I don't always have to wait a minute, it's like it's so liberating because now you're not from the standpoint of, oh man, every trade I make is with the goal of making 100%, 200%. So if you stop doing that, guys, if you're in that camp like I was, where every trade you're looking for the huge winner, if you stop doing that, I guarantee you'll be less stressed out as a trader and you'll probably make more money. So the benefits of this strategy are that you don't need large moves. Okay, so stop hunting for the 100% winner on every trade. There it is. I said it. Okay. And I found a meme. Some of you might be sitting there saying, "Oh no, he didn't. Oh no, he didn't say stop looking for the big winner." Well, I just said it. So there you have it, guys. But I'm saying it as something that I think is helpful, right? Not to be controversial or anything, just to try to help you see more possibilities that are out there for you in the market to take advantage of. I'm not saying I don't hunt for 100% winners still. Sure, I do. But I have a little bit more of a tempered approach where I'm happy to take 25%. Now, if something moves 100% in a short period of time, sure, I will take that. I'll sell that. But my point is, don't be narrow-minded where you're only looking for the huge moves, whether it's stocks or options, okay? Hopefully you guys are not shaking your heads yes and nodding in agreement there. So also the benefits of this strategy is that it's active. It's active, okay? And I understand. I don't know what happened to my A there. Anybody know what happened to my A? It's gone. But anyways, B says that this strategy is active, and it is. It's almost every day the market is open, I'm making a trade. And that's another thing is we want activity. Okay, so one of the downfalls of trading is that we are hungry for that action, and so that hunger for that constant, oh, I need to make a trade today. That thirst for the thrill of the hunt, right? Is that we make silly trades, right? So within the confines of a strategy where you're only looking, say, for 10%, 15% wins, it's a little more, dare I say, safe, right? Because you're not hunting for that huge winner. You're not, plunking down all your cash every day on these wild gambles. Okay, so that's the benefit of this strategy, is that it's more like a scalping strategy, a quick flipping strategy. I prefer that term. And you can be active every day the market is open, just about, without hurting yourself like you do when you're constantly looking for the big winner. There's no time decay, and for the most part, I don't use options. I do use some. In a recent trade, I did do that, and there's another options trade I'll tell you about before we're done, time permitting. But for the most part, it's not options. Okay, it accommodates account sizes of $1,000 and up. You might need to use margin if you're using a small account. I think I use E-Trade Interactive. I think the minimum for IB is 10K and E-Trade is 2,000. So, you can't be, trying to trade $200 worth and trying to flip, a 5% win and think that's going to help you, but maybe from a learning standpoint. But, as long as you have an account of relatively decent size, guys, you'll be surprised at the kind of profits you can reap every week from this kind of flipping. All right. So here's a few stocks I like to flip. AMD. So, the blue line and the red lines, those annotations that I made on the chart, that's just to show you how this stock tends to get oversold and then tends to bounce and get overbought. And it's a crazy little stock, but I like to trade it. Here's one of the examples of a position I had for 355 shares. It was market value of 12,000. My average cost was 33.40. I scaled in, and at the time I took the screenshot of $400. I don't remember how much I made on that trade, but I'm sure I put a stop loss in or just dumped it right around that range right there. Matter of fact, I think I sold it right after I took that screenshot. So you have to take my word for it, but I do have some more proof here. Here's IO. This is that little crazy little oil service penny stock that I told you about. I like to trade. I like to flip it. So I made a note on the chart here. Look how it in late June it traded from 720 to 760 several different times. You could have flipped that, right? And then it starts into an uptrend, and that's always fun too. Here's Twitter. I like to trade Twitter. So you can see I scaled in 100 shares here, 100 shares there. End up with 350 shares. Average cost 36.81. At the time, it was trading at 38. I know it was up in the 40s this past week before yesterday's SmackDown. So I look for stocks that have analyst love. Twitter is a good example. AMD has a lot of analyst love. IO has a little bit, but that's just kind of like a weird anomaly. Just my little hip pocket stock that I like to trade. But for the most part, I'm looking at stocks that have analyst love, quote unquote. WWE. So this was not this past week, but the week before that, they came out with an upgrade right when the stock was at $65 near the low of the year. And it wasn't just a run-of-the-mill upgrade either. It was pretty forceful. This is the text of it. Guggenheim says it's its best idea for the remainder of the year and reiterated its buy rating at $100. That's a 55% upside for the stock from where it was when they issued the upgrade. And so I look at that, and I made a comment inside my VIP chat room that I'll tell you more about here in a second. And I said, now that's an interesting setup with a big upgrade and an oversold chart. Would you agree? And I ended up selling at 69.47, and this past week I flipped it again for a win too. And if you look at a WWE chart right now too, you'll see that it's much higher than it was when the upgrade came out a week and a half ago. All right, so the mother's milk again is the analyst actions. For the most part, it's upgrades, and I'm going to show you a downgrade here. So Macy's came out with poor earnings a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago on the 14th, and usually when earnings come out that are disappointing, the analysts sometimes they have a 24-hour delay. Like the next morning they'll come out with their upgrades and downgrades. Now you might imagine after horrible earnings like that they're not going to be upgrading the stock. Sometimes analysts tend to be reactive, and that's why they get a bad rap. But as you can see, it's continued downward. So what I did is I said, look, this thing is not recovering anytime soon, in my opinion. I could have been wrong, but so I started to establish a short position, 1544, 1503, 15. Did I put the same screenshot up there twice? Yes, I did. But anyways, let me delete that one. Sorry, guys. So I averaged into this stock several times, as you can see, because it's actually still open in the interest of full transparency. This position is still open, guys. So I'm short 750 shares of Macy's. My average price is $15.65, and it closed at $14.94 yesterday. So these analyst actions are tradable to the downside too. So you have to be flexible. You have to say, okay, well, you do have to have kind of a bias. I'm still not super bearish on the stock market. Monday morning it could open up 150 points on the Dow, and the futures are crazy like that, right? So, but basically, I'll take a few stocks that I think are showing relative weakness and that have those analyst downgrades, and I can short those even in the context of a bull market, like I'm doing with Macy's. Okay. Now, I do want to sell this before the dividend gets issued in mid-September, so I don't have to pay that dividend out. That's a pro tip there too. If you short a stock and the dividend gets issued, you have to pony up the cash for that. So here's my results from the first 30 days of flipping. So you might say, well, Matt, that was pretty good. You almost paid for the cost of your move there, and I did. I paid for most of it. So the last few weeks during the market kind of craziness, I lost some money. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is, number one, as I want to be fully transparent. Number two is that I want to show you during times of market volatility and bearishness is that your gains just don't totally go into the crapper, right? So how many times have you guys made a lot of money only to give it right back? So you make good money, you make 25, 30, you know, 40, 50% your account growth in 1 month, and then the next month or two you give it all back? How many times has that happened? Raise your hand. Right? Probably a lot of you are raising your hands, or at least in your head, because it's true, right? It happens. So one of the things I love about flipping and using a disciplined approach to it, where you average in, average in, average in to a stock you have high conviction of, either to the long or to the short side, is that it's very it's not going to subject you to the huge drawdowns, at least from my experience. Okay, like say maybe options trading can do. Okay, or high risk trading where you're looking for the big winners. All right, so I think showing you this screenshot is, again, in the interest of full transparency, but also to give you a sense of confidence that when you flip stocks the right way, you're not going to get hammered as much as you would as if you're just holding everything through it, right? Or sometimes playing options can really burn you too, right? When you're only playing options. So there was an 800-point drop in the Dow Jones during this time that this screenshot depicts. I think I did okay, guys. So this is similar to how I'm flipping Bitcoin. I'm flipping Bitcoin. How many Bitcoin traders I have in here? Probably a few. So here's a screenshot of my Bitcoin trades. So buy, sell, buy, sell. You can see I'm just all the way back when it was in the 4,000 range a few months ago. I actually had my first losing trade on Bitcoin flipping this past week. I think that's the first one all year. So I just set a limit buy, and when it gets filled, I set a limit sell order. Or if it starts to go against me, I'll set a stop loss, and it's really worked out well. So, but kind of the same approach with stocks. Bitcoin's actually a little simpler, honestly, because you don't have to worry about the news as much. But so I like to flip, guys. I like to flip. All right. So so good news, guys. We can now flip more stocks more often for more money together. So I'm asking you, as you're sitting there in your home, in your office, wherever you're at, coffee shop. We were talking about coffee here before we started. How many of you would like to join me for some of this quick flip type trading? How many would you like to get the trade alert, send to your phone a text message, be in the chat room, get the alert there, discuss things, have a good old time, throw out some dad jokes maybe? Well, that's exactly what I have for you right now as we move into more details about the quick flip trading system. So I do want to introduce this to you guys right now, the quick flip trading class. And so it is recorded, and that's $1,000 value. So I want to offer that to you right now, guys. But as a bonus, I'm going to send you out the trade alerts via text alert, and that's good for 60 days if you have a US area code, by the way. And this is for all of you who claim a spot for the course. So that's a value of $500. Another bonus is you get updates on new tactics that I discovered for the next 12 months. So if I find a new quick flip type tactic that's not covered in the course, in the class, that's already recorded that you'll get instant access to, I'll share that with you, okay? Another bonus, you'll get 1 full year of the front of the line email access to me, or you can just chat with me in the chat room, either way. So anything that's foggy in your brain, so to speak, I'll help clear that up and help get you up and running and flipping stocks for some extra income. All right. And again, I want to mention the chat room. You get 60 days access to the VIP trader chat, and that's a $500 value as well. So if you guys see the validity in what I'm saying and you want to learn more, I'll share the class with you. If you grab one of 150 spots, so as a total value of $3,500, what I'm going to do today, though, is do a little better. You can get in now for just $14.97. But hold the phone, guys, because I'm going to do even better than that, all right? Because I really want you guys to join me and see how awesome this quick flip type trading is, in addition to whatever kind of, trading you're doing to maybe hit the big winners. That's cool. I do that too. I'm not even gonna do $9.97, guys. I'm gonna go lower than that. All right. So you can get in now for one of 150 spots. And full transparency, some of those spots are already gone that I've already sold to people that are on my email list, but there is still some left. and you can grab one for $397. Here's the link: mmpublishinginc.net/quick flip. All right, and you guys can go ahead and load up that link and give it about 5 seconds for the page to load, and there'll be some information, more information. You just scroll all the way to the bottom and fill out your name and credit card, all that jazz on the secure order form, and you'll lock in your spot. All right. So again, you get the quick flip class recording, 60 days of VIP chat, and the buy and sell text alerts for all quick flip trades. All right. So here's kind of a screenshot of what the chat looks like. See, I post the charts, I post the screenshots of my trades. So I'll say, okay, so I bought X amount of shares in this stock at this price, and I'll post a screenshot of the actual trade so you can see in full transparency that I'm actually making the trade that I say that I'm making. All right, I think that's important. And all kinds of chatter in there amongst myself and the other guys and gals that are a part of the VIP service. Okay, so again, mmpublishinginc.net/quick flip. All right. Now, again, this is about action, guys. This is about action. You know, sometimes after you have a bad spell of trading and you're like, oh man, I really lost too much money, you know, and you're thinking to yourself like you probably were over trading, right? And it's true. But within the confines of quick flipping, at least the way that I'm doing it, you don't have to feel guilty anymore about wanting more action as a trader. Okay, you don't have to feel guilty about saying, yes, I want to probably make a trade today. You know, they say don't force trades, and that's good. That's good teaching. But we're not forcing trades, and we're still doing that in the confines of a good, you know, strategy. We're getting the action that we crave, and we're not doing it in a self-destructive format, right? We're doing it in a way where we make money, right? As you can see from the trades and the screenshots that I shared with you. All right. Again, I still want to go for the big winners, you know, but I'm also have a new strategy where I look to make money every week. Where you know I'm happy with 5% on a stock. I'm happy with 10%, 15% on a stock in the course of maybe a 1, 2, 3, or 4 day trade. Okay. Here's that screenshot of the chat room again. You know, again, I trade stocks like Twitter. I traded Workday this week. I made money in Workday. I sold it yesterday. It was sold. It was kind of, you know, sold. It was down in the last couple weeks, and I know earnings were coming up. Earnings were coming up in about 2 weeks, so I started building a position. I sold it yesterday. I did get maybe a little fortunate in selling it before the crash kind of got crazy. I sold it in the morning. But you know, that's the kind of stuff I look for. I look for a stock like Workday, a tech stock that has a lot of analyst love. It's coming up on earnings. It usually does good in the summertime when it reports earnings. Look at the last 2 charts from say August, September. In Workday, you'll see what I mean. The thing is just likes to run in the late summer. So you know that kind of stuff. That's the kind of legwork that I do for you. And of course, I share the exact trade with you. But not only are you going to get the trades, guys, you're going to see the thinking behind the trades, right? You know, and I know people do want the trade alerts. I understand that. If I signed up for a trading service, I would want the trade alerts too. But I also want to understand the thinking behind the trade, right? Because if I understand the thinking behind the trade, then you know maybe you know you can become an expert at it, and maybe you could teach you know somebody, maybe your son or your daughter or your friend. And so that's why I think it's important to share the thinking behind the trades, because then you're learning, right? The old horse to the water analogy rings true there, of course. So do I have any questions? I don't know. How do I get the chat thing to pop up here?
Okay. You should see, you see the questions?
Let's see here.
Go up to the top and click view questions, and you should see the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like a bajillion in here. All right. All right. Try to make it a little bigger, and then we'll go from there. Fort Worth. Okay, so Doug says, what is the level on the percentage stocks above and below PO ratio and grid? I don't know if that was for me or for the last guy, honestly. I scroll all the way to the bottom, I guess.
Yeah, I can read them to you if you can't see them.
All right. Oh yeah, I got them. So somebody said keep politics to yourself and take down. All right, so I figured I'd make somebody mad with talking about politics. That's okay. Do you trade stocks 5 and under? Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Why not? What is my win-loss ratio? My win-loss ratio for the quick flip type trades, I have to get to you on a specific number. From the top of my head, I'd say they're about 75% winners. I haven't had too many losers because I scale in. So people say, what's your stop loss? So the thing that's liberating about scaling in is that I don't have to worry about a stop loss right away. In fact, I'm almost rooting for the stock to go a little bit lower after I get in the first tranche of my, this first section of my position, because then I can get in lower and average in, right, and average down. So, but after I do have my position fully established, as much as I'm willing to put into a stock, then I'll start to think about a stop loss if it looks a little shaky. Okay, so after the 60 days, you can choose to continue as a VIP member, and so there'll be more deets on that. But basically, the VIP service, just to give you some context, the normal price for a VIP is $12K a year. So yeah, that's kind of pricey, but I'll have a much better offer for you if you want to stay after 60 days. After 60 days, you probably have it down pat anyways. But if you like to stay, I'll have a much better offer for you. 59,000, nice day's work. Well, I didn't make 59,000 in one day, but okay, good question. To be able to do this type of trading, don't you need 25K or more? You can't take the short flip. I don't think that's true. I don't think you need 25 grand to short stocks. And you can do this under 25,000. You can make 3 round trips in 5 days, right? If you have less than 25,000, as long as you don't do more than 3 round trip trades in 5 days, okay? And most of my trades aren't day trades anyways. Even though I'm saying quick flip, you might get the idea that I'm talking about day trading, but I'm not actually. So most of them actually at least are 1 day overnight trades. Yes, alerts on the phone and to the computer via the chat. What about shorts? I made a bundle on WWE on the way down. Yes, on the way down. Yes, Kevin. Well, that's cool that you wrote it down. It did fall pretty hard, but now it's on the way back up. What do you mean when you say flip? So flip, like the reason I like the term flip, because what do you think about when you hear the term flip? You think about, well, maybe somebody jumping on a trampoline and flipping around, but I think personally, I think of flipping houses. So how much simpler, guys, if you compare flipping house to flipping a stock? There's no realtor to deal with. No offense to any realtors out there, I love you guys, but there's no realtor to deal with. There's no closing fees, nothing like that. You're just looking at a situation. You're using your brain, no doubt, but there's nothing like that to deal with. The only thing you got to deal with at the end of the year is Uncle Sam to pay your taxes, other than just logging into your trading account and making the trades, right? So that's what I love about this is, what I love about this is, that it's such a hassle-free way to flip things for a profit, right? Anything else you got? Like my son found some 1992 Coca-Cola cans that have NFL teams logos on them. They're collector's items. So we looked at them on eBay. They sold for like $10 a pop. So my son wants to sell them now naturally, right? So, but still, even the hassle of taking pictures of of those cans of Coke and putting on eBay is still more of a hassle than it is to flip stocks, right? If you have a defined system, successful system to do it with, right? So that's why I love this, guys. Kevin says AOC in the 2000. Oh no, AOL. Okay, I thought you were talking about AOC there. WorldCom, yes. Okay, so that's the communications company. All right. Somebody wants to make 5 million a week. I don't think I can help you with that, man. I'm sorry. It depends on your account size, and all right. I think I got all the questions. I'm not sure, but yeah, you don't need 25K guys to do this. So again, there might be a trade or two where I do get in and out during the day. All right, be fully transparent with you. There is a possibility of that. But for the most part, it isn't. Okay, so I got a couple more slides since I'm doing good on time. So as an exclusive bonus to you guys, and to show my appreciation to TradeThirsty, the gang there, I am including my VIP alerts for my trades on XLE. The XLE ETF, I do a lot of options trading on that thing over the last, almost 3 years now. Probably I've been trading that booger with options. So as an example, I traded it yesterday for a nice profit. I traded puts. What it tends to do is it tends to trade weaker than the market when the market's bearish. So I know that. Having that in my back pocket, what I do is I take that and I use that knowledge to trade it to the downside when it's bearish. Now I do like trading it to the upside too, but yesterday as an example, even with the market already down and XLE already down, at 1:30 I bought some put options at 96 cents, and then right before the close I sold them at $1.26, making a quick $448. All right, so I look for opportunities in the XLE ETF to trade call and puts on them. This is another thing usually where I usually don't make it a day trade, but yesterday I did. I just wanted to go ahead and book that profit, right? As you never know how the market's going to open up on Monday morning, and you can always get back in, right? So I want to book that profit. So as an exclusive bonus, you guys also get the buy and sell alerts for the XLE options, and so I do have about an 80% win rate on those. So you may be asking yourself, I don't have time to go through a whole slide deck on that strategy, but it's worked really well for me and for my VIP traders to trade the XLE options. Okay, so here's a couple testimonials from my VIPs. This is a guy from his name is Tom Miner. He's a really good guy. And so basically he says, I have 3 standards when I'm looking for a stock evaluator. Number 1 is success. Number 2 is explanation and education. 3 is two-way communication, both to me and listening to me. And I will have to say that Matt ranks an A+ in all 3 areas. All right. So he says, so many stock services have a top-down communication process, or it's just a constant stream of published plays. There seems to be little analysis. There's no explanation or education. There's no listening to my ideas. It's all sales. And I hate being sold to. With Matt, I have a thoroughly pleased with his success rate, his communication style, and his shared analysis. I'm all proud to recommend him. So that was a really nice testimonial to get from Tom. This one's from Bradley. It's joined in 2017. Mixed results at first because I didn't always follow Matt's leads. But once I got out of my own way and simply followed Matt's trades, I recouped my losses and hit the point where I covered my annual subscription and now profitable after only 4 months. On the oil strangles and Fed trades, I think we made money 75 to 80% of the time. Joining the VIP group is a no-brainer. All right, so here's a screenshot from the chat room. Guys just telling me how much they made. Tom says he risked 1,000, he made 300. Jason here, net profit of $485, and Bradley too, $339 there. So guys, just to let you know, you're not going out into the wilderness. So there's people that will be there waiting for you when you join as part of the VIP trader group, sharp people too. All right. So for flipping stocks, there's also a flipping guarantee. So here's how the guarantee works. If you invest in the course and implement this quick flip system and you end up losing money over the course of a minimum of 4 trades, just send me an email within 60 days of you joining and the proof that you actually made the trades, and I'll refund your money pronto. This ensures that I don't get the type of people just like to, be tire kickers, so to speak. I want people who take up these 150 spots total who are actually sincere about it, okay? I don't want you coming in saying, well, I was going to see, I was going to ask for a refund. So come in with a serious mindset of saying, yes, I want to make this work, right? So I think that's fair for me and for you, Sylvia. You have that guarantee, but also that protects, the integrity of the system where you actually, want to, make the trade, okay? So again, it's mmpublishinginc.net/quick-flip. All right, guys, let's see. Scalpy. Carlos says scalpy. Cha-ching. All right. Larry says you don't have to paint the stocks like flipping houses. That's true. That's another thing you don't have to do. You don't have to paint stocks. Some people paint the tape. You guys know what painting the tape is, right? It's where like you go into a stock that doesn't have much liquidity, and you make a buy order at the asking price at the close to make the candlestick look nice and full for that day. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, there's no painting in flipping stocks. I hate painting. And so yeah, guys, mmpublishinginc.net/quick-flip, and I will roll out the red carpet for you and get you all set up on all your bonuses and everything. As a matter of fact, as soon as you check out, you'll see you'll get an email to the recording that sends you a link right to the recording of the class. So boom, you can watch that right here over the weekend, and Monday morning be ready to rock and roll. You'll also get a link, a secure link that will create you a new account in the chat room, the message board there, as you see the screenshot of, and a bunch of really kind and fun and savvy traders will be on the other side waiting for you. So we still have about 10 minutes, geez. I went through those slides pretty quick. So again, guys, if you're looking for something that can help you alleviate the burden of the expenses of life, in addition to being fun and action-packed, this is it. Again, look, I moved from an 800+ mile move. Yeah, it still kicked my butt, but I paid for most of that with trading. So that's a really, really nice thing to lessen the load of the expenses of life with your trading profits, is it not? So look at this kind of ordeal in life. We had fun, we took pictures, but made the most of it. But what I didn't make the most of is the bill that came at the end, right? There's no way to look at a bill like that and be happy about it. So that's what trading is for. That's what flipping stocks is for. Okay. Maybe you have an issue that you're dealing with right now, maybe an expense that is kind of out of the blue, or maybe something that's kind of just been hanging around and you haven't known how to really knock it out. You could use a strategy like this where you're not always looking for that 100% winner, where you can take some stocks and flip them and make some money, right? And get rid of those expenses. Any other questions? Just taking a drink of water here. So again, guys, just to kind of recap the strategy, if you want to leave this presentation today as you prepare for the next one, and you want to just maybe kind of boil it down to what is really helpful to you, regardless of whether or not you purchase one of the spots for the class and the alerts, is you want to take stocks that have recent analyst actions and then trade them on the basis of that recommendation from an analyst. Again, so here's Macy's recently. You know, you had this analyst action come out, and there was more than just Guggenheim. I'm not just partial to Guggenheim. You know, they downgrade Macy's. So, you know, some people might look at Macy's chart and say, oh, a gap down is going to fill the gap to the upside. I look at it and say, no, probably not, because it was downgraded. And, you know, in fact, the market crash yesterday kind of helped me too, which I'm okay with for this particular position anyways. And, you know, so I look at that analyst action and I start to build a position. When it gets to a point where I feel that the profit is fair, I'll go ahead and exit my position. Now, I think there's more room to the downside on Macy's. So obviously, as you can see from that screenshot I just took this morning from my account, that I'm still in it. All right. So you might say, well, how do you find analyst actions on a stock, on stocks that are pertinent that you can, you know, trade off of? Well, you know, that's why you need to buy the class. That's why you need to buy a spot, because I'll share all those exact details with you inside of the class, and also be discussed in the VIP chat room. All right.
This is terrible.
All right. A couple more questions. Are margins worth it? They have really high interest rates per day. I mean, I try not to use margin, but, you know, I'd have to look at the math there, Chad, to be clear. I'm pretty sure you can make it work, but okay. Reg says, looking forward to see this in action. All right, thanks, Reggie. Why not show another trade with the extra time? I could. Can you give more information on trading the XLE ETF? Yes, sure. Okay, let's look at it again. Let me find that slide. All right, so the way I started trading XLE was with straddles and strangles. So I like trading straddles and strangles, but lately, in the last probably year and a half, I evolved into where I stopped.
Why are you still here?
I stopped trading straddles and strangles on it so much because I started to kind of get a feel for it better, where I could pick the direction, so I could just kind of abandon having to deal with a losing leg of the trade, right? So I just took it and said, you know, I'm going to base my trades off of the weekly inventory report. So you have one that comes out on Tuesday night, you have one that comes out on Wednesday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, right? So what I did was I started basing my trades off of that data. So you either have an inventory build or you have a draw, right? So based on those data reports, the market's going to react. Now, of course, it's not always, you know, that cut and dry, but basically, if you have a draw of inventory that comes from the oil, you know, the oil reserves that we have, then that's bullish, because that means that more oil is being consumed by U.S. consumers, you know, more driving going on. And so that means there's less supply, right? More demand, less supply means more bullish for oil prices, and generally more bullish for XLE, which is an ETF of oil service provider stocks, right? Like Exxon and Chevron, right? So I'll just base my trades off of the chart and off of what those weekly data points are, and I've done well with it. So, you know, about 70 to 75% of the time I have a winning trade with that. Usually shoot for about a 30% win with that. That's what I did yesterday, as you can see on that chart there. Of course, that had nothing to do with the weekly report. That was just based on the market being super weak yesterday. And I knew the XLE was going to underperform the market. Even, you might say, how can it underperform the market? Well, it can still trade worse than the market, even if the market's down. That makes sense. So that's why I traded XLE. So you guys will get those alerts too, as part of the VIP trader offer that I've just laid out for you. mmpublishinginc.net/quickflip. And I guess that's pretty much all I got. So if you guys want to grab a spot, I'd be more than happy to do all I can to help you.